It's 9 in the morning and OzHarvest is starting to move food downstairs into its vans and off to those who need it. You've heard the story before. Organisations like OzHarvest save food from being wasted and give it to the unfortunate. But have you ever heard of who it actually goes to? While many of us are quick to assume it's given to the homeless or unemployed, a new report by Food Bank has found more food assistance is given to the working poor rather than those who are unemployed.
You can see sometimes we'll have some canned food, some chips and stuff like that.
Gopi Krishnan has been a volunteer with OzHarvest for over 3 years. He says many Australians don't know that it's more likely their neighbours and not the homeless who need food assistance.
When I talk to people about the work OzHarvest does, they find it surprising too. Like, for example, we collect food and we drop it off at some local church organisations, which you may not know, but it might be the house down your street. It doesn't have a sign which says Sydney City Mission or anything, but it's a house where the garage is opened and they stock a pantry with the food and fruit and vegetables that we provide them, and then that is distributed to people in the houses next door. So you sort of don't think that you think it's the person sleeping on the cardboard box on the street, but it isn't. Sometimes we get like excess food, which we get called, say, like you can see the brand names here. They might have had a function like at the showgrounds, and there's a lot of excess food and drink left, and they ask us to come and collect it, and we collect it, and then we sort it here for distribution to the charities that we go to.
The report found that almost 80% of welfare agencies provide food to low-income households, over 10% more than the unemployed. Reverend Bill Crew's Exodus Foundation is one of these welfare agencies. As part of Homeless Persons Week, Reverend Cruz brought a van to Wynyard Park in Sydney's CBD and offered free food to everyone in the hopes of raising awareness. He says the fact that many families go without food isn't a surprise.
We actually know there are many, many families that are one pay packet away from disaster. Many. And because we find them when that pay packet vanishes, And we'll find little old couples who have been living on pancakes for years because they can't afford anything else. It's just sad. And mothers and kids. And of course, the mothers give up the meals so the kids can eat. But the kids just eat bread and butter.
Reverend Cruz says the issue of hunger is one which is kept quiet in Australia.
Totally swept under the rug. There are many, many families who have to decide between buying food and paying for medication, or buying food and paying rent, or buying food or paying electricity bills. There are many families just caught up in that. So there are lots of people who just don't eat. They just don't eat. We come across them quite often, and that's just whole families as well. So we give out parcels of food to needy families.
John Webster, the CEO of Food Bank Australia, says that for many families, food is the last straw before they'll seek help from a welfare agency.
Most people in Australia actually don't know the name of someone who's actually going without food. They don't realise it's often their neighbour or someone else down the street. So in Australia, about 13.2% of the population live in low income, low wealth households. At the end of the day, for a lot of those people, when they pay the bill, food becomes discretionary. And at that time, they go to the local welfare agency and seek support. But most people actually don't realise it and don't understand actually it is their neighbours. If you look at what's happened to the disposable income of people versus the increases in the price of some of the key things they pay for, namely rent or your mortgage, or food or electricity, those items have gone up in price far greater than their disposable income, which means that people who are out there and working, doing their effort, doing their level best to make ends meet, the increase in prices has just, greatly overcome the increase in their income. They've got less.
Mr. Webster says the research will help welfare agencies around Australia to know exactly what products and food their recipients need. It'll also raise awareness to help with the demand, of which 90% of agencies don't have enough food to cope with. This is Mark Turano reporting for Source.